go. Hi, this is Rich Gibbons with SpeakInc, and today we are here in San Diego, California with Dr. Daniel Kraft. Daniel, good to see you.
Good to be here.
I just saw Daniel speak over at the convention center. Small crowd of about 5,000 people. It was an ocean of people.
You promised a big crowd.
Yeah, no, it was huge. Daniel was so Daniel's CV is a mile long, very impressive. He's swimming in the healthcare water column each and every day. But I think what really made your program come alive and really move hearts and minds was how passionate you are about this not linear change, but exponential level of change and the possibility that is really going to affect all of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I started the talk with, where are we now in Back to the Future? We're still using fax machines and filling out the same forms when we go to the doctor. Many other fields have been disrupted and entered the fourth industrial age. And the world I swim in is, technology, healthcare, medicine, and the potential to really reshape that from health and wellness and longevity to doing earlier diagnostics before the disease becomes severe, to, if you have a disease, to manage it. And a lot of that is exponentially fitting on your smartwatch, Internet of Things, low-cost genomics. So just to get sort of the audience who, have a lever on, in this case, benefits, what technologies are here and what's coming, and how do you leverage that to really make an impact?
Right, and you gave them, as we touched on earlier, you gave them sort of like a little taste down that buffet line. But to start citing specific examples around robotics and AI and processing power, it almost trivializes the enormity of the sort of the constellation of technologies that are out there. But one thing that Dr. Kraft touched on right at the outset was going back to Mass General and the fact that a lot of the infrastructure and communication, and you touched on the fax machine, and the impression as the speech viewer is, how in God's name in almost 2020 is a fax machine still integrated into the infrastructure there? What would you consider to be the biggest impediments for the healthcare community to advance and progress at the rate of all these other technologies that are changing all the time?
Yeah, I like to advocate exponential medicine, but a lot of healthcare is actually incremental.
Right.
And a lot of it is still driven by old mindsets, silos, regulatory, maybe well-meaning rules like HIPAA. So physicians, I often meet a lot of very smart folks in the clinical space, biomedical. They have no clue what's already here. The fact that you can use your smartwatch to diagnose a heart condition, where we can go with telehealth, but you need to align the incentives, because many clinicians or healthcare systems don't want to use that lower cost app because it eats their lunch, because the old-fashioned way they can bill a lot more for. And so I think part of the potential is to connect the dots between what's here and what's coming. And for the folks listening, well, what can I do today for my own health, my friends and family, whether that's a connected blood pressure cuff all the way to a digiceutical, and then to what they could be doing, because healthcare is such a team sport, and many folks from many industries are coming together, whether you're in AI, robotics, gaming, VR, 3D printing, nanotech. They're really now starting to shift the needle in healthcare, and we have to, given our challenges with cost and aging population.
So challenging cost, as the dad of a family of 5 and paying for my dependent healthcare, each and every year it's some sort of double-digit increase, and feel like, well, where does all this lead? And Daniel and I worked together on a Boston Scientific event, and when you see what the devices and the pharmaceuticals, and the technology is absolutely amazing, but where does the money come from? And there's obviously the other side of that coin is, well, hey, if you can have these, what do you call them, predictivalytics?
Predictalytics. Be proactive, not wait for the disease when you need the fancy stent or the surgery or the gene therapy.
So what do you see in and you're not a soothsayer, but what do you see in the future, 5, 10, 15 years out? There are some elements of the healthcare landscape where cost will be going down because of these predictive elements, but then you've got these amazing diagnostic tools and biomedical devices that are priced to the moon. Where's that all going to go?
I mean, big picture on a sort of sick care model, we sort of pay for disease and therapy, the latest stent or bypass. Now in our era of exponential big data, sensors, personalization, we have the potential in the next, let's say decade, 10 years from now, we're going to have our own sort of personalized digital twin. It's going to understand our risks based on our genomics and microbiome and digital exhaust to kind of connect the dots, give us our own sort of healthcare coach and avatar that matches, your father of 5, you're very different than a millennial who lives in Portland.
I'm older.
This morning we had an audience of, everything from Teamsters to folks who are, C-suite executives, very different. you need to match the need and move from our sort of intermittent and reactive sick care model to one where we're much more continuous with our information and more proactive.
Yeah.
So you'll get smart nudges, whether it's to quit a bad habit like smoking or never start, or to optimize our diets, which are so important. And then hopefully we start to pay again more for that prevention healthcare side rather than where 80% of our dollars go today. We'll still need the fancy high-tech elements. There's some amazing, from gene therapy to immunotherapy to medical devices. But if we can start to move the needle a bit to the left on proactive prevention. And a lot of that, again, I use that line that Gibson quote, the future's already here, it's just not evenly distributed.
Yeah.
You don't need to wait for a lot of this. A lot of the folks who have the lever, it might be the benefits manager, the insurance companies.
Sure.
If you start to increment a connected blood pressure cuff today for your high blood pressure patients, you can dramatically lower heart attack and strokes in that population. So it's not all about fancy future, it's how do you align incentives and get the mindset to shift.
Well, when you think of that old bromide, a stitch in time saves nine, that waiting for the stroke, waiting for the heart attack, waiting for whatever the catastrophic health event is, and the cost footprint of that event, as opposed to, hey, by the way, in 5 days, your risk of a stroke is going up, 97%. Yeah. You're doing things proactively, so hopefully that will not only improve outcomes, but also lower the footprint of cost.
Yeah, even something your simple wearable, your Fitbit now can tell if someone's gait is changing, they might have risk of a fall, or that your temperature and heart rate's a bit up, you're likely to be getting the flu in a few days. Maybe you need to go skip work, wash your hands, simple public health elements. A lot of this stuff doesn't again have to be high tech. How do you change behavior? How do you tweak that sort of personalized health coach that's on our ubiquitous mobile systems now? How do you use now augmented and virtual reality to get people to see inside their bodies and treat their hypertension when you can't feel it? And how do you educate the doctors and nurses of today and the future to leverage some of these new tools?
Yeah, right. Well, so for any of you out on the inner tubes who are interested in kind of a whirlwind tour of the future of healthcare and what's possible, having just seen it, it's really remarkable and infuses, I think you really infuse the audience with a great deal of excitement around what's possible and what's out there. And as you noticed, you noted that there are members of executive leadership who are kind of ignorant of a lot of these things.
They're still siloed. This is the way we've been doing benefits or pharma for a while, and new players are coming in. Amazon with buying PillPack for $1 billion and doing Amazon Health Prime. All these things. Part of the lesson I used that fun line. We talked about Kodak as an example of a company that invented digital photography but didn't pay attention and they went bankrupt and Instagram sold for $1 billion. And companies like Uber that have leveraged these technologies they didn't invent to disrupt entire fields. So that fun takeaway is Uber yourself before you get Kodak. And that sort of mindset to instill in folks in healthcare and beyond, and to also be proactive and be on top of their own health, whether it's simply tracking their sleep and their steps or a connected pill bottle, things that are not futuristic, and to get their healthcare systems to start leveraging and paying for some of these things can really shift the needle across the healthcare continuum.
Yeah, well, a lot of that content, I think, creates a feeling of a more sanguine outlook on the possibility of health and being more proactive about it. But fascinating talk. Thank you for doing an amazing job.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you soon.
Bye.